Some games explode onto the scene like a supernova. Millions of players, insane hype, and then they vanish. We are in 2025 now, and looking back, this past year has been a graveyard for games that were supposed to be the next big thing. From revolutionary co-op shooters to the so-called next Call of Duty. Today we are paying our respects to the fallen. Let's start with the one that hurts. Helldivers 2. Early 2024, this game was everywhere. It was the rare co-op shooter that was actually funny, chaotic, and had this brilliant player-driven galactic war. Everyone was doing their part. The devs were heroes. But then the war fatigue hit. The thing that made it great, that constant, shared grind, became its downfall. By April, daily players dropped from over 400,000 to barely 40,000 on Steam. Still solid, but nowhere near those galactic highs. The major orders started to repeat: defend this planet again, fix this bug again. The loop wore thin. And the devs, still doing their work, still transparent, but they just couldn't drop new planets faster than players could liberate them. So the game has faded with a sigh. Next up, Skull and Bones. This game spent longer in development than most pirate tales have existed. A full decade it spent in development. Ubisoft said it would redefine naval combat. Instead, it became a cautionary tale for the ages. The hype was morbid curiosity. Everyone wanted to see what 10 years and hundreds of millions of dollars of development looks like. Turns out, the answer was not much. The game launched with a $70 price tag and a gameplay loop as shallow as a puddle on deck. By mid 2025, the only pirates left were the ones who forgot to uninstall. Ubisoft promised big year 2 overhauls, but that was too late to be honest. Now, let's talk about a game that came out swinging: The Finals. Late 2023, it owned gaming TikTok, a free-to-play shooter where you could level entire buildings. A slick game show aesthetic. It was fast, flashy, chaotic, and it felt fresh. For a while, it was unstoppable. But here's the thing about chaos: it's hard to control, and that's what affected the finals. Once players figured out the meta, every match started to feel the same. The destruction became background noise, and the gadgets either broke the game or did nothing at all. It peaked at 250,000 concurrent players, but by mid 2025, barely 10,000 players are left. Embark Studio says Season 3 will reinvent everything, and I hope they are right, but for now, not many players are returning to this game. Alright, strap in for this one, because we are not just talking about a game that fell off, we are talking about a historic gaming scam, the game called The Day Before. For years, this game had everyone fooled. It promised a massive zombie MMO, a mix of The Division and The Last of Us. It looked almost too good to be true, and well, it was. When it finally launched, it wasn't an MMO. It wasn't even close. It was a buggy, asset-filled extraction shooter that barely functioned. Within 4 days. 4 days. The developers shut down their studio and disappeared. The Day Before wasn't a game that fell off. It was a game that never even got up. Moral of the story: if something is too good to be true, it usually is. And finally, the supposed next Call of Duty, the game called XDefiant. When it dropped, it felt like a breath of fresh air, fast-paced, no skill-based matchmaking, simple fun, and for a moment, it looked like Call of Duty had a real competition. But competing with games like that isn't a sprint, it's a marathon, and XDefiant just couldn't keep pace. Updates slowed down, matches got one-sided, and players drifted back to the same old comfort zone. Call of Duty's massive, year-round content machine. The game peaked at 500,000 daily players, and within a few months, lost more than 90% of them. Looking back, it's wild how fast things move now. 1 month, a game's the biggest thing in the world. The next, it's fighting to stay alive. But if there's a pattern here, it's not that these games were bad, except one, that game was really bad, but the other games just couldn't keep up with the players. In 2025, hype burns hot, but it burns fast. And if a game doesn't evolve quickly enough, it doesn't matter how good it was. It will fall off hard. So, what do you think? Which game fell off the hardest? And which one deserves a comeback? Drop your picks in the comments below and let us know. And if you enjoyed the video, do like it. And do subscribe the channel for more gaming stuff. As usual, see you in the next one.
Let's go.